Hello, this is Linda, and today I want to talk to you about my book, Crown of Thorns. I earlier recorded a video talking about the Crown of Thorns that we're probably all familiar with, especially if we're a Christian person. But the second part of my book focuses on the the crown of thorns that we are today um, experiencing in our world and how we can ease the pain of those thorns and what we're doing. So I'm going to read from you a chapter from the second part of the book, which talks about the thorns of destroying creation. It's chapter 8 in the book. And I start this chapter with a quote from David Orr that says, "When we heal the earth, we heal ourselves." So I'll continue reading from this chapter. Although in Jesus' time there were no debates over fossil fuels, nuclear power plants, windmills, and solar power, one would have to believe that Jesus loved the earth very much. After all, he was there when it was created, and his people were close to the land. Agriculture was very important in Jesus' time. Hence the parables of the sowing of the seeds, the prodigal son who appears to have lived on a farm, the mustard seed, among others, tell us he was very familiar with farming, even though he spent his early days as a carpenter. Fishing was also very much part of his experience, since we know that at least 4 of his 12 chosen were fishermen. And where did Jesus sleep? We are told he had no home once he started his public ministry, that he laid his head wherever he found a place to rest. While sometimes he was a guest of friends such as Lazarus, Martha, and Mary, most likely he spent many nights camped out in the desert somewhere, and he spent much of his time praying in the garden, probably at least as much time as in the synagogue. He traveled by foot throughout much of the surrounding country, visiting many towns, so he likely communed with nature throughout most of his public ministry. I have to think that when Jesus drove the moneylenders out of the temple and the disciples recalled the Old Testament prophecy, "Zeal for God's house consumes me," that they were talking more than about the temple. God's house is more than a temple, a synagogue, or a church. It is the earth. And Jesus' zeal for the house of God would lead to his passion for the earth and all that lives on it. And so, if he were alive today, perhaps his parables would be about those who pollute our rivers by dumping chemicals in them, the wasteful destruction of rainforests, the use of styrofoam and plastic that cannot be recycled, and the carbon footprint left by the harmful emissions from our cars. I think the best television commercial ever made was the one showing a Native American with a tear running down his cheek when he saw the pollution caused by humankind. It always brought to my mind the picture of Jesus weeping over Jerusalem. The moneylenders in the temple were not only guilty of greed, but of wasting the resources of the poor. So, what do we do about this destruction of our environment? It seems like the problem is so big that we as individuals cannot do much about it, but we must. As Sister Joan Chittister wrote in her fabulous book, In Search of Belief, the earth can and did exist for millions of years without humans, but humans cannot exist without the earth. So we don't have a choice. We must do something and do it now. We can start small inside our own homes. Do you recycle what you can? Do not try to buy items that cannot be recycled. When I drive through my complex on trash days and see all the boxes piled outside that should have been out on recycling day, I want to cry as that Native American did in that commercial. In fact, I decided I'm going to write to my city council and suggest they have 2 days a week for recycling pickup and 1 day for trash. Maybe people will finally realize that most things can be recycled. We can use chemical-free detergents, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, and other items. Try reading the labels on the products in your house sometime. Set aside a morning to read every label on every cosmetic, cleaning product, and food item in your pantry. You might be shocked at what you are putting into your body, on your body, and using in your home. If you are a homeowner, you might consider solar panels for your home and buying energy saving appliances. You can purchase or lease an electric car or a hybrid car. We can write our state legislators and ask them to follow the lead of states like California, who have banned the use of plastic grocery bags and straws. Even if your state hasn't banned them, you don't have to use them. You can buy cloth bags and take them to the grocery store. If you're like me, I get a supply of cloth bags whenever I attend conferences and other events. Use them. Most grocery stores sell them, and some still offer paper, which is recyclable. Have a recycled trash can next to your other trash can and think about what can be recycled before just throwing it in the trash. Most office supply companies provide free shipping to mail back ink toners and cartridges, so it doesn't cost you anything to recycle them. Also, consider gently used items to Goodwill or another similar outlet. It helps poor people and all of us buy clothing and household items that they can afford, creates jobs, and prevents a lot of usable items from ending up on a trash heap somewhere. One good Lenten practice is to put a trash bag in your closet, and each day put in one item in one of those trash bags. Not totally useless things, but maybe things you've been hoarding until you drop 20 pounds and can wear it again, or good usable clothing that you haven't worn for a year or more. At the end of Lent, you will have 40 items that someone can use, and that won't end up in a trash pile somewhere. Check your local community to see if there's a government or a nonprofit recycling center you can take your items to if your community does not pick up recycling. You can start removing your own thorn of destroying God's environment in small and in big ways. Thank you. And I thought that was appropriate since just recently we celebrated the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, which talked about the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, which are very closely related. So I hope you'll enjoy the book. Again, it's Crown of Thorns, and the first part of it is about Jesus's suffering with his crown of thorns. But the second part is all about where we have crowns of thorns today and what we can do to help them. So I hope you'll pick up the book and take some of the advice that you might find in it. Thanks so much. Bye.